more than we probably even realize now. Wolf Warrior 2 is going to be an incredibly important part of action cinema history. The most successful Chinese film ever made. It is hard to say quite the effect it will have on China's cinematic output, but some kind of effect it almost certainly will have. The first is a fairly standard and relatively small-scale action film that follows soldiers known as the titular Wolf Warriors, as during an exercise they are attacked by mercenaries led by British DTV star Scott Adkins. Watching it now, it's easy to see what director and star Wu Jing was going for with the film, that he'd continue to shape into the sequel. He wants to make something that feels like a big, explosive American action flick for a Chinese audience. And even in the way American films now cast Chinese actors to appeal to that market and gain investment, so has he taken to putting Western stars in important roles, mainly bad guys. I somewhat enjoy the first film and surprisingly have a certain affection for it that I lack for the sequel, which I'll get into. It's simple and effective, and I can't hold, for example, its dependence on pure melodrama against it, which some do, when so much of Hong Kong action cinema has taken that so much further. I mean, in Bullet in the Head, it's almost parody. My problems with the Wolf Warrior films are how they emulate American cinema. Wu Jing has been in some pretty incredible action films. He knows what works. He is an incredibly talented martial artist with a willingness to push himself to get the most exciting sequence. In Wolf Warrior, just compare its knife fight against Adkins that could have been an all-timer to this fight in SPL starring Wu Jing and Donnie Yen. The action here crosses the line, it's hard to work out who to follow. Generally, it makes what could have been a minor action classic simply derivative, silly fun. As said before, Wolf Warrior 2 has been an absolutely incredible success story. Even critically, it has been a surprising smash. I really wasn't a fan though. You can really feel the inspirations here, and it visually does fit very easily into what we expect to see from filmmakers like Simon West and Michael Bay. And hell, it even has an action sequence set to amazing grace to really hammer home what Wu Jing is going for. A shantytown set car chase even reminded me heavily of Bad Boys 2, though that even more obviously ripped off Police Story, so in a way, this kind of brings it full circle. And the thing is, other than a scene with poor, weightless CG tanks that's completely devoid of tension since it happens so quickly, most of the action is still decent and better than a lot of what we do see in Hollywood. The problem is, it could also be so much better, and it really feels like it's done this way purposely to basically maximize profits, as opposed to what's right for the story. I can't really blame the team for that. I mean, Hollywood does that all the time, and its success proves it was probably a smart financial choice. But like all those big scale blockbusters we're getting nowadays, this kind of style definitely weakened the film for me. It even has a foreign savior narrative, though the white savior is now a Chinese one. I suppose we have employed that sort of plot so many times I can't hold it against Wu Jing doing it here.
In America it's bling bling, but out here it's bling bang, huh?
They do also depend, sadly, way more on poorly implemented CG blood in the second film than they do in the first. Though I imagine that may be partially due to the budget and the larger amount of locations here, so they have to move a bit quicker. The real issue at the heart of this is that, for me at least, Wolf Warrior 2 especially, represents the borrowing of the worst of American cinema. As an action fan, what concerns me is that until now it was the reverence for classic action filmmaking that has kept Chinese cinema so exciting in comparison to Hollywood. It was the realization by American producers that this sort of shooting and editing could be incredibly successful that ruined American action films for me. Now, this has proven so wildly successful in the East, will we see this employed more there too?